Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
And available only at Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus. CNYBrewFest.com for more info.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
A non-conference finale W in the books for Syracuse men's basketball. 77-48, the final score inside the JMA Wireless Dome on a Monday night. Giovanni Heater with you, welcoming you into the program here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. If you're on your ride home from the Dome, get home safely. Feel free to call in. Phone lines will be open throughout the program at 315-437-7644. The number to call, as always, that's for ESPN 44. Phone lines will be open throughout the entirety of the postgame program. We'll also have Red Autry's live postgame press conference right here on ESPN Syracuse and CuseSportsTalk.com. We'll hear from the head coach of the Orange himself, Red Autry, after the 77-48 win to close out non-conference play over Stonehill. Going through a little bit of the box score here, Syracuse did a nice job at times on offense, I thought, tonight. Nathan George and J.J. Starling, they combined for 42 of Syracuse's 77 points in the ballgame. 22 points from Nathan George on 7-12 shooting. He led all scorers. Went 3 of 5 from beyond the arc in the process. Also went 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He has been Syracuse's best free throw shooter with Donnie Freeman not in the mix. And J.J. Starling, he has 20 points tonight on 8 of 17 shooting, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc. Went 2 of 6 from the free throw line, had 4 assists on top of it. Nathan George had 3 assists himself. JJ played 33 minutes in the ballgame tonight for the Orange. Nathan George played 30 minutes tonight for Syracuse. And again, those two combined for 42 of Syracuse's 77 points. But that wasn't it. Syracuse also had 2 other scorers in double figures. How about a nice night from Sadiq White Jr.? 13 points for the freshman, 4 of 5 from the floor, 1 of 1 from beyond the arc, rattled one in. Had a confident stroke, took a nice open shot on decent ball movement. Did go 4 of 9 from the free throw line. 9 rebounds, almost had a double-double tonight, was just a rebound shy. Had an assist. He did it all in 23 minutes of play. Probably would have played more minutes if he didn't get in a little bit of foul trouble there with 3 personals. Just played 23 minutes tonight after being in the starting lineup. But Sadiq White Jr., I just thought he did some really nice things tonight. Turned offense into defense a couple of times. Was always there to finish on the receiving end of an alley-oop. Had a couple of nice blocks defensively. I just liked what I saw out of Sadiq White Jr. tonight, the freshman. And then another scorer with 13 points, the 4th for the Orange in double figures, Nate Kings. He went 5 of 7 from the floor, went 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. This was Syracuse, one of its better three-point shooting nights of the non-conference portion of the schedule. The Orange went 9 of 21 from beyond the arc. That was good for 43% tonight from three-point land. That was one of Syracuse's better three-point shooting percentages of the year, which was certainly a good thing to see because we had said it wasn't a strength of the team. Now, I don't think night in and night out they're going to be able to sustain that number, but it was nice to see tonight, no question about it, and it's a step in the right direction. Free throw shooting, woof, below their average, 48% from the free throw line, 14 of 29 from the charity stripe went Syracuse tonight, right around their average. Kyan Anthony only played 12 minutes tonight, which was a little bit puzzling to me. Only had 4 points, 1 of 3 from the floor. I think it had a little bit to do with the fact that I felt like he was forcing it a little bit. Had a couple of nice drives, and I appreciated his efforts to get to the basket, but at the same time, it felt like a couple of the long threes he was taking from way beyond the arc. Heat check type shots, but there was no heat to check, if that makes sense. And maybe that had a little something to do with him only playing 12 minutes. And it's also a scenario of I think you're riding the hot hand. You only can have so many guards on the floor at a time, and when JJ and Nate George are combining for 42 of your points, and they're shooting as effectively as they were, 7 of 12 from the floor for Nate George, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, and JJ had a nice night as well. I mean, you're not going to pull those guys out. You're going to ride the hot hand. So I think that was a little bit as to why you saw Cayenne only play the 12 minutes tonight. Phone lines are open, 315-437-7644. Let's go to those phone lines. We got our man Pat in Syracuse. Pat, how are we feeling after the win?
Yeah, I was thinking more about Donnie, and it kind of talks about what you were speaking about with, the lineup. Like you just said, you can only have so many guards on the floor, and it kind of leads to my whole thought. Usually when so first thing, it's about Red substitutions. He seems to kind of go, 5-6 minutes, usually not earlier, and maybe even goes 7 minutes into the game, and then he brings in 3 subs. I thought those were horrible substitutions because it was almost 15-2. We had a 3 rim in and out, and it was 12-2. It really should have been 15-2. I mean, it was 3/4 of the way down and went out. But that's not they were in full rhythm. Everybody knew to start the game, which is a rarity. Yep. I didn't think I was watching Syracuse, which was great to see. But I really believe, I don't have the box score in front of me, but I'm pretty certain that when he took those guys out, a lot of that momentum went away. And
100%.
Like, okay, so what's the method to your madness there? But then it got me thinking, as the game was kind of pretty much kind of a snooze fest, garbage time, with Freeman coming back, what I want to see, and I don't know if I really do want to see it and if it's going to happen, is will Freeman play the 5? Because if Freeman plays the 5, then that changes the whole dynamic of what we're putting out on the floor. Because to be honest with you, Kyle is a phenomenal player, and, arguments have been many games he's been our best player when you consider both sides of the floor, and I don't disagree with that. But he's a little limited. Obviously, you're not throwing him the ball in the post too much. I think he can get some work done down there, but he's not a skilled 5. And that's not a knock on him. That's just the reality. He's going to score off his hard work, decent footwork, and athleticism is all I'm trying to say about that.
Sure.
So maybe you take Kyle off the floor if it's not one of these defensive type style games, or if you want to impose your own will. And that's what makes a great coach. Okay, Jay Wright, he used to do crazy lineups, where he'd have an undersized 4 playing 5, or maybe a regular size 4 playing the 5. He also had 3, NBA guards at times. So a lot of those things worked real well, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're just changing out one guy for another and they don't bring different things to the table, what are you really doing? This whole juicing station and all that nonsense, first of all, if you look at the other bench, their juicing station must have been really juiced, because that bench was fun to watch. I felt like it was one of those tournament teams with the way their bench was energized, which, they're the underdogs. So I'm not knocking them for that. But the point is this. I think Freeman at the 5 is something that maybe against certain teams that aren't going to hurt you inside and you need more offense, that might be a lineup where you get an extra offensive player on the floor with Freeman, maybe Betsy or White. 2 out of those 3 for sure. And then you get Kings and, probably JJ and George. I think that lineup is one. Wouldn't you want to see that?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think you're saying that it's a starting lineup. I don't think it's a starting lineup, but I can see him go to it for sure.
I think if the offense is dragging, and you don't have a guy that you're facing as a, I don't know the bigs yet in the league, but some of the bigs in the league, you're not going to be able to go with that lineup. But there is guys who maybe have just a defender on the 5 slot where he's not going to threaten Freeman, because Freeman's got enough length. And I just think it's really going to be able to get another score on the floor. and another playmaker, because then you could probably have, maybe you go with Anthony or something like that, and you get another playmaker on the floor. Other than that, I don't see a lot of, I'll leave you with this. What Devo said that I liked it in the telecast is if JJ and George are playing the way that they've been the last couple games, you're good with that. That's fine. And then Kyle, you're pretty much fine with. So it's really going to come down to what version of Donnie Freeman are we going to see in conference play? Is he going to be an all-conference stamp, or is he going to leave us something to be desired? I think that's the key to what we have, because I think we have enough other pieces, and I think going this long without them could benefit you with other guys getting opportunities. But I'm not sold on this team yet until they play. And I'll leave you with the Clemson thing, too. If they can beat Clemson, now you can go on a streak and start to, put these last 4 or 5 games of garbage kind of in the rearview mirror, because now it's conference play. Maybe you're, 5-0 with 8 or 9 in a row. Nothing that's going to shake your resume to a tournament, but now you're on your way. So that's all I got, Gio. Merry Christmas. Thanks for the airtime, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate you, Pat. Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend. Yeah, we got to take a break. I just want to real quickly, I like where Pat's going with the concept of getting a little bit more offense on the floor. I just feel like the hand is so forced as far as William Kyle's been the best player for them. I just don't see a world where you want him off the floor. Pat, I hear you, and it would probably add a little element on offense as far as having a little bit more athleticism too, a little bit more scoring ability, gets you almost an extra guard on the floor, but I wouldn't run with it for super long. Like, it really has to be the right situation against the right personnel to run with it, because I think on the defensive side, I think it could be detrimental. And I just think William Kyle's such a good rim protector. You need him out there. He's the best rebounder probably. Donnie's definitely going to, hold weight there, but it's almost better to have both those two guys on the floor at the same time. But we'll see how it all plays out. That's what we love, Pat. We love Pat bringing the takes. That's what it's all about. So we appreciate Pat, as always, my man, and look forward to hearing from you once we're rolling into ACC play after the holiday. We're going to take a break here on CuseSportsTalk.com at ESPN Syracuse. When we come back, plenty more to unpack, and we'll hear from Red Autry, the head coach of the Orange, in the post-game press conference live right here on CST and ESPN Syracuse.
I thought tonight, in the second half in particular, our defense really stepped up. I thought, we did a really good job of stepping up. It got a little close, and then we really kind of locked down and, turned them over, got out in transition, and, we were able to hold them 21 points in the second half. It all starts with our defense, and I thought that was the difference. I thought JJ, first I want to congratulate JJ for going over 1,000 points tonight. He's been a rock since he's been here. We're just very fortunate to have, a player like him. I enjoy coaching him and just watching him grow over the years. So, again, well-deserved. And then you could just say he's just getting started up, rounding into form. I thought Nate George had another back-to-back great game. Again, that's when you talk about our backcourt. That's what, how we envision it. And then Sadiq White, I thought, was really big today. I thought he was very active, got on the glass, finished around the rim, really was disruptive on defense. And so, again, I thought I thought that was a difference. In the second half was the difference. That was the difference. Questions?
When you talk about J.J. Brown making the form, obviously he's not scoring as many points as he did last time. What are you talking about when you say round form?
Just, when you look at a stat line, obviously scoring, getting other people involved, being a leader out there, really just kind of directing and guiding. And the guys, they follow him. He's the leader, rebounds, steals. Again, I just think he's really grown on both sides of the floor now. And I think, that's the impact that I'm saying. That's where I've seen him really grow the most, and just growing up into being a leader. I think every good team has to have a leader, and he's our leader. And then I thought today he was very vocal, level 5, talking to his teammates, pointing, talking, encouraging everybody. And that's what he has to do, not only score, but, he has to do a lot for us. And I think, he's growing into that role. And I've seen him grow a lot from the summertime.
Adrian, I'm assuming you're going to let you guys go home for a couple of days, and I don't know when the last time all these guys went home, but is it going to be nice for them to kind of have a little break from you, from everybody else?
It's going to be a really nice break. They are going home. They got some days off. Again, I thought these guys for the first part of the non-conference, we've learned a lot about our team. I thought, so I know that they need a break, especially the way we ended up these last, I think 5 games in 11 days, something like that. So again, I'm sure that they're looking forward to getting back home and not hearing my voice and hearing level 5 and all those other challenges. All right.
Brett, you talked the last couple games about trying to get this team to play complete 40 minutes. Did you see that from your team tonight? If not, how close are you guys to getting that full 40 minutes?
I think every time we play, we get just a little bit closer to it. I thought the first half, they got 11 or 13 points off of us not getting a rebound, right? And they got 3 threes. Like, that can't happen. So, the first half, I wouldn't say that. I thought the second half, even then we still had some dips, but we recovered a lot better in the second half where we got some stops. We got a couple of stops in a row and we turned those into points, and then we just kind of settled in. But still not there. I mean, again, we're going to keep trying for it. But the way this team has recovered, from all the games that we've been in, that's been the biggest thing that I've been really surprised and happy about. Just, even when they do make a mistake, they bounce back and get back and recover and get to the next play.
So what are those things, right, when you get back from that break, going into the ACC play where the margin of error gets slimmer, the things you'll be emphasizing going into conference play?
Continually, obviously the intensity, I think it's things that we continually need to clean up and to continue to improve on both ends of the floor. But it's all going to come down to energy, connectivity, battling, and trying to eliminate those dips, and if you want to get more specific, we got to continually take care of the basketball. We got to continually work and improve on our free throw shooting because, the games will be close. So, we got to continue to improve on that. And, a lot of things, continue our fight and make our fight consistent. That's really it, right? Really being consistent with our fight and continually improve, offensively as well.
Coach, you're talking about that level 5, the second half of 16.1. Is that kind of getting to that point of a team level 5?
Yeah, when you're out there and, you got guys flying around and talking and covering for each other, and then we finish the possession, I thought that the level of talk was really good in the second half. And typically it's hard for us to see because we're away from them, but I just seen them pointing and talking and huddling and dapping and just, connecting and touching, and that was good. They were huddling up every time the whistle was blown, right? They were focused, locked in. So that's the level 5 as far as the focus, intensity, and chatter that we need to have moving forward.
Do you feel from the fans as well, do they kind of hit a level 5 as well?
Every now and then, and I will say this as we move forward, this team is going to need the fans, right? And, for them to play a level 5, we need to make this place loud. In particular, our next game, we need the fans to be at a level 5 because, that our team needs that. They get energy off of that, and that's going to be big moving forward in ACC play. These guys are gassing out. So, I asked, we need our fans, we need our students, we need everybody to come into this building and be at a level 5, and I'm sure that they'll see, they'll get that reciprocated with this group of guys.
Coach, your guards did a lot of slashing tonight, getting to the basket. Was that an emphasis coming in?
Yeah, we thought just about some of the defense, the way they played and the way they defended certain actions. We thought we can get in there and get into the paint. And our guards are a little bit bigger, and I thought they did a really good job of getting into the paint, playing off of 2 feet, making good decisions, and actually finishing. We finished well the last couple of games with our guards in the paint.
What you've seen out of Nathan George especially, he's really taken a big role scoring the last 2 games.
Yeah, I think he's starting to settle down. I see him being more decisive. I thought he made, plays, and he was just more decisive and, just getting a feel for the offense. I just really thought that he was really steady the last couple of games.
So he gave you a pretty good game tonight. In what ways has he been able to improve during this time when Donnie's not there?
I mean, playing time, he's been able to see, what it takes to play in high-level games. He's got a chance to experience out in Vegas. So, the one thing about our non-conference, when I look at it, with Sadiq and Kyan, I thought they got valuable playing time. And, when you go into, conference play, sometimes, especially with freshmen, you don't really know yet, depending on how your schedule is. But we've had 5 or 6 really, Power 4 games, and then some close ones that wasn't Power 4. So they've been in some wars, and I think they've grown, and they've got tremendous experience. I think, Sadiq today, to talk to him about getting to the glass, and he's responded the last couple of games, at least 2 out of the last 3, to get into the glass. That's where he can help us at. But the experience that he's gotten, being able to play while Donnie is out is going to really help us in the long run. That's what you talk about, having real depth. All right, now I know I can go to these guys once we get into ACC play, because they don't play against some of the best teams in the country. It's non-conference.
Coach, on that note, you guys do expect Donnie back against Clemson. What's the most valuable thing that he's going to bring back?
You talk about a guy that's versatile, 6'10", 6'11", that can stretch the floor, has experience, he can pass it, can score, defend. So it's going to really allow us to be, more versatile. It's going, again, a guy that we depend on. He's a matchup problem. He's hard to guard, and he's just going to make it the court a lot more open, all right? And then defensively, he's a guy, you talking about now, you can really switch, be switchable, be able to, bother people, and then he add another good rebounder, right? And that's where we've kind of fought in battles, but he's a good rebounder, so that's going to help us a lot.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to everybody.
There he is, the head coach of the Orange, Red Autry, after the Syracuse team closes out the non-conference portion of the schedule, 77-48. Final score inside the Dome. The Orange take down Stonehill. We'll take a break. Plenty more to unpack on the post-game coverage right here. Cuse Sports Talk, ESPN Syracuse. What's up, chat? What? That's good. Mine's at 3%.
Let's go.
Wait, charger that's not really a charger?
It was a phone charger that worked for our phones, but it wasn't made as a phone charger. It's not in. Oh well. If I find it, I'll give it to you.
No, you need it. I'm chilling. I got a computer. You guys did not like Pat's take, I see. Oh, Zach, we're going to have the fam over for Christmas Eve like we always do, and then we'll go over to my uncle's house on Christmas Day. So it'll be a good time. And we just had a big family Christmas party with my dad's side yesterday, which was very nice. So lots of festivities, lots of festivities. What about you, Zach? What are you guys doing for Christmas? You guys did not like Pat's take. Yo, Cuse is in the house. I'm sorry. I thought I was pretty level 5 coming out off the gate. And then listening to the press conference always pulls it down a little bit. Phillies, I don't really agree with the take, so I can't I did have a dip. I can't defend the statement. I don't think extended minutes at the 5 will be a smart idea. I think if you went to it for like 5 minutes to get a little offensive boost and give Kyle a break, I actually think that might be better than Soiree out there. I'll say that. Especially after the corner 3 Soiree took today. I've never seen Red that mad. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. I do think a couple minutes might be all right. 5 minutes? Any more than that, I don't agree with the take. But it could be an okay lineup for a couple minutes.
Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
77-48, the final score inside the Dome. Syracuse closes out the non-conference portion of the schedule with a win. Giovanni Heater with you on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. The Orange tonight got it going a little bit from beyond the arc. 42% as a club from three-point land. Missed a lot of them, though, at the free throw line. 48%. Below their average, which ranks with some of the worst in the country from the free throw line. Left a lot of points on the table and still ended up with a blowout win. 77-48, the final score. Was really impressed with the defensive effort tonight out of Syracuse. It felt like Red had really challenged them. Head coach Adrian Autry, for those that don't know, nickname Red, of course, felt like Red had really challenged them to step things up defensively, and it felt like they answered the bell a little bit here tonight. I thought they really limited the fast break points, allowed 21 fast break points last game in the win on Saturday. Tonight, they keep it to just 9 fast break points. Even more impressive, points in the paint. Didn't allow them. They allowed just 8 points in the paint against Stonehill tonight. Rim protection was excellent. This team ended up with a whole lot of blocks. It was one of their better defensive performances of the year, I thought, to this point. And to allow just 8 points in the paint and then to score 36 points in the paint on your own as well, I was really, really impressed with that. Syracuse ended up with 12 blocks as a team tonight. And I thought the rim protection was great. I thought their internal defense inside the painted area was super, super impressive and very good to see because it felt like Syracuse had a lot of work to do in that regard and felt like they really made some strides in the right direction here tonight. Also held the opposition in Stonehill to 26% from the floor. That's 14 of 53. Held them to 9 of 25 from beyond the arc. It was a good defensive effort. Plain and simple. They only had 2 scorers in double figures tonight. Hackett had 12, and then Kofi had 10. Kofi was averaging 16 points a game, so you hold him pretty well under his average at 10. And your 2 guards, J.J. Starling and, of course, Nathan George, combined for 42 points in the ballgame. 22 points out of George, 20 out of J.J. If you're rolling like that on offense, if the defense is there, tonight, again, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster of a non-conference portion of the schedule. Tonight looked like a team that can really make some noise come ACC play, especially when you make the addition of Donnie Freeman. This was the game that Syracuse had been leaving you looking for ever since that 9-day layoff against Tennessee. This was what you hadn't seen out of Cuse. This was that defensive effort that allows for the offense to pull away, that blowout, stamp it type of a win that you had been looking for. Now, it would have been nice to see him come in here and have this team score 100 points. Sure, I'm sure Red would have loved that. But it wasn't necessary. 77 was plenty to get the job done with how good the defense had played. Was there things that I think Syracuse could have done differently on offense? Most definitely. I thought that they forced a lot of things. You know, a lot of isolation. We're going to drive. Not a lot. Going off the first pass, if that. Trying to get downhill, but not in a fast break with numbers situation, like allowing Stonehill's defense to get set, then attacking one-on-one. And then one of your guards are chucking up this, from 6 to 10, maybe 12 feet out, contested, half layup, half jumper, floater, very contested, low percentage shot from about 6 to 10 feet out. There was a lot of that. A lot of that. Wasn't super pretty. There wasn't crisp ball movement. There wasn't, even Devo broke it down. He had a really good quote in here that I ended up writing down specifically. He said, seems like Syracuse lost the pace that they had early in the half court. Said early in the game they were really whipping it around side to side. He said they've gotten away from that. And it never really felt like they fully returned to it. More things you'd like to see that team do, but again, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick a 77-48 win. Sometimes it's good to see them win in dominant fashion, and the defense was the calling card once again tonight. So wasn't perfect, but I thought the defensive effort in the paint, the 12 blocks, was certainly good stuff to see out of Syracuse in the 77-48 win. Phone lines are open, 315-437-7644. If you want to get in on the action, we'll take a break. Plenty more to unpack when we return on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss drive?
You guys are going at it in the chat. Yeah, I kind of agree with that take, Cope. I think Brownell off of a lot of time to prep for it is going to be tough. But I also think Syracuse has the more talented roster. But they're so well coached. Clemson's very, very well coached. I thought there was a shot Brownell was going to leave for a better job, which is why he got an extension. Not that Clemson's a bad job. Yeah, I mean, but they made the tournament again last year. Granted, they lost to McNeese State, but they were a good seed in the tournament last year. Or were they a 5? They lost to a 12 seed McNeese State, I'm pretty sure. I think they were a 5. That was post-Gerard. We'll see what he does this year. I mean, they're good right now. They're top 40 in the net. See, what are they right now? They're currently 38th in the net. Yeah, top 40 in the net. Would like to see them get in the top 30 so that can be a quad 1 game. That's Phillip Rivers. Yeah, Brownell's got a very specific brand to him. Very tough, physical, defensive team. Never going to be terrific on offense. Similar to Tony Bennett on a different scale. The Clemson game, that's going to be on December 31st, New Year's Eve. They'll play Clemson in the Dome. Is it noon or 2 o'clock? I can't remember. I want to say noon.
ESPN Syracuse. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Syracuse closes out the non-conference with a 77-48 win over Stonehill inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Giovanni Heater with you on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. Phone lines are open if you want to get in on the action. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. 315-437-7644. That's for ESPN 44 if you want to chime in and chat about Syracuse's 77-48 win over Stonehill. 2 guards combined for 42 of Syracuse's 77 points tonight. Nathan George with 22 of them. J.J. Starling with 20 of them. A little bit of a coming out party the last couple of games for Nathan George, who feels like he's really taken things up a notch at the point guard spot, particularly with his scoring production for Syracuse. And always good to see JJ go out there and drop a 20-piece in 33 minutes of action here tonight. I want to go ahead and piggyback off of a point that head coach Red Autry had made in the postgame press conference. He kind of called out the fan base and said, look, we need you. In order to play at this level 5, in order to bring it, we need you. We need you to show up, need you to be loud, need you to make this one of the best college basketball atmospheres that there is in the sport. And we know that the Dome has that capability. We know Syracuse fans have that capability. But it hasn't been there in recent time. Hasn't been there. It's been sparse. There was a good crowd for the Tennessee game. Don't get me wrong. There's always a good crowd when Duke or Carolina's in town. But that 30,000, that consistently 25,000 a night, deafening, one of the largest on-campus venues in college basketball, one of the highest attended programs in college basketball. It hasn't been there. And I'm not saying it's easy. I understand what the product on the court has been. I understand that they're looking to break a 4-year drought of making the NCAA tournament. I also understand that it's not easy to get up to the Dome on a weeknight. And I understand that it's not always affordable for everybody to go to games and everything that goes into it. But I'll tell you this. Dome's got to be packed on New Year's Eve. Quad 2 game with Clemson in town. They're 38th in the net. Very well could turn into a quad 1 game as the year continues to roll on. This game against Clemson on New Year's Eve is going to set the table for all of ACC play. If Syracuse wins that game against Clemson, the runway is there for them to have a very, very strong start to ACC play. Now, that would require them to win the games that they are supposed to win. But if they can take down Clemson, there's a lot of opportunity to be had. They'll play at Georgia Tech, at Pittsburgh, versus Florida State, and at Boston College after that Clemson game. If you beat Clemson, you should end up starting 5-0 in conference play. And you'll play Virginia Tech at home on the 21st. That's also a very winnable game. Virginia Tech, good ball club. They're very banged up right now. They're without two of their best players. Should get those guys back for ACC play. It's Neoklis Avdalas and Toby Lawal. That Virginia Tech game, very winnable at 9 o'clock on the 21st in the Dome. After that, Miami at NC State is going to be tough but gettable. Home against Notre Dame. The sky is really the limit before you start playing Carolina, Virginia, SMU, Duke, Carolina again, Louisville. Like the end is tough. The end is a bit of a gauntlet. But the beginning is such a runway to ease into conference play. The table could really, really be set for Syracuse to have a strong, emphatic start to ACC play. Make a little bit of a statement, especially with Donnie Freeman back into the wrinkle, if they can win against Clemson. If you lose against Clemson, that's fine. Maybe it's a game you weren't supposed to win. They're probably not going to be favored in the ball game. Let's see if a betting line is out right now. Yeah, there's not a betting line out at the moment on ESPN Bet. Maybe other platforms have it. But if you can beat Clemson, I just think that it really sets everything up for them. So I'll go with Red. I'll call you out. Let's pack the Dome. Let's get there. New Year's Eve. A lot of people are off from work. A lot of people have that time off built in, that week of Christmas to New Year's. People are in town, whether you're a college kid, visiting, whatever it may be. Let's get to the Dome, pack it, be loud, make it a vintage type SU atmosphere, because that Clemson game's big. I know Clemson might not have a number next to their name, but they're in that conversation. They really are. They're a good basketball team. They're one of the better programs in the ACC. They've consistently been good for a handful of years now under Brad Brownell. That's a good team. That's a tough game. And they play a tough physical brand of basketball. Syracuse really is going to have to bring that same level of energy, that level 5, that grit, that grittiness that you saw against Houston and against Tennessee. That's the kind of brand of basketball it's going to take to play with Clemson, because that's the MO of a Brad Brownell-led team. But I think Syracuse has the chops for it. You've seen it with some of their defensive efforts at their best, some of which we saw tonight, holding Stonehill to only 48 points, just 8 points in the paint, and had 12 blocks protecting the rim. So I'm calling out the fan base. Let's pack the Dome. Let's get it rolling against Clemson on the 31st. One more segment coming up as we wrap things up. 77-48, the final score. Syracuse takes down Stonehill in the Dome to close out non-conference play.
This is Orange Nation.
I think
Main Street, Williamsville, South State Street, Syracuse. Smart buyers are choosing Toyota Gold Certified used at Burdick Toyota. Choose a Toyota Certified used Corolla, Camry, RAV4, Highlander, or Tacoma, including hybrid models. Then get today's best APR rates at Burdick Toyota in Cicero. At Burdick Toyota, all of our hand-picked pre-owned Toyota models offer terrific value.
Being yelled at for stealing my dad's hat. He's not thrilled about it.
At Burdick Toyota in Cicero. Shop BurdickToyota.com.
Hiring now. The William George Agency for Children's Services is hiring today. Located in Freeville, New York.
I'm glad to see that some people are thrilled with the performance tonight. It's been a lot of negative, and I've been on the negative train. I've been very guilty of being quite negative on the program. I'm glad people are feeling a little pleased with the performance tonight because they deserve the credit when they play good, right? I thought they played pretty well. Like, it's never going to be perfect. It wasn't perfect, but they played pretty well. They played really good on defense. Yeah, I'll do that.
Let Chef Jeff take care of all your catering needs. Whether you're craving tender ribs, hot off the grill,
Dad, I'm so sorry for stealing your hat. I always steal your hats. The truth is, you buy the best hats. Nobody picks hats like you pick hats. And when I see them sitting there up on your dresser, I just can't help but take your hats because you pick the best hats. And I always like wearing your hats. And they're the best hats. And a lot of the times those hats then become my hats. So thank you for picking such good hats. I promise I'll put it back on your dresser at some point. But I love wearing your hats. And it's like taking a little piece of you with me. It's an SU hat. It's a Cuse hat. I would hope so, Phil. Like, I would be surprised if Fennell, Zephyr, Soare is probably going to have to play a little bit in ACC play. I don't think you're going to see much Zephyr, Fennell in ACC play. I mean, I don't know why they went to them so early, too. Like, that was one thing Pat said that I did agree with heavily. Like, you got something rolling, and then you go back to them.
Home of the Giants.
Pretty early.
ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM, and 1440 AM. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
77-48, the final score tonight inside the Dome. Syracuse comes away with an on-conference finale win over Stonehill. Skyhawks never stood a chance tonight. Syracuse dominant performance. Got off to a hot start, scored 12 points, went on a 12-2 run to open up the ball game and never looked back after that. Guard play was pretty good tonight out of Syracuse's two star guards, combining for 42 of the team's 77 points. J.J. Starling with a 20-piece. Nathan George, the Georgia Tech transfer, with 22 points. Kyan Anthony, just 4 points tonight in 12 minutes. Didn't really get into foul trouble. I just think the guard play was so strong out of J.J. and George. You just didn't really need him. Sadiq White with one of his better games of the year thus far. 13 points, goes 4 of 5 from the floor. Also knocked down a 3-ball, had 9 rebounds. Was a rebound away from a double-double. The true freshman was solid. 13 points out of Nate Kings as well. Went 5 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc with 7 rebounds. Was most impressed with the defense, though, tonight. Thought Syracuse did a really nice job defensively. Held Stonehill to just 26% from the floor. 8 points in the paint, 12 blocks. Really tells the story number-wise with Syracuse's dominant defensive performance. Krause Hospital injury report. The good news is next time we talk, Donnie Freeman should be back in the lineup for the Syracuse men's basketball team, and I really hope that still holds. He's expected to be back for the ACC opener on December 31st against the Clemson Tigers in the Dome. That's the report. Hoping to see Donnie Freeman back out there for Syracuse. You might ask, what does he add? What does he add for the Orange? I think he adds a lot. I don't think that it's a fix-all, save the season, they're definitely a tournament. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's somewhere in between that and those that think that he doesn't save anything and it's a lost cause and his addition doesn't matter. And there's people that think he's never going to return. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think he's their best player. I think he's definitely their most talented player, well-rounded player. So I think him being back there takes a lot of the pressure off everybody else offensively. And I think it also opens up opportunity for William Kyle because it is a guy at the 4 that you really have to worry about. I'm not saying you don't have to worry about Sadiq. Look at Sadiq tonight, 13 points, 9 rebounds, efficient from the floor. He was great. But also you can challenge Donnie, send him to the line because he's a good free throw shooter. Teams aren't going to be as apt to want to send him to the line as they are a guy like Sadiq or even some of the guards right now for Syracuse, the way the Orange are shooting it from the free throw line, 48% as a club tonight. So I think he adds a lot there. He just adds a problem offensively. He's also a very talented rebounder, and I think that the proof is in the numbers that the defense is much better when Donnie Freeman's in the mix. You see how they were holding teams to an average of around 50 points a game when he was on the floor. Versus when they haven't had him, the defense hasn't been nearly as strong outside of tonight. The defense was really good tonight, held Stonehill to 48 points. Stonehill's probably one of the weaker teams that Syracuse has played so far this year. So I think getting Donnie back is going to be huge for Syracuse. Very excited to see him back in the fold, and very excited to see if this team really can take some leaps with Donnie Freeman back in the mix. Well, we're going to have a little bit of a layoff here. We're not going to have a lot of stuff throughout the week because it's the holiday. Everyone's going to be enjoying time with their families. But Steve and Paulie will be at you throughout a little bit, and then drive time's off till next week. And we won't have Cuse basketball pre- and post-game until December 31st when the Orange play Clemson on New Year's Eve to get the ACC play rolling. So want to wish everybody well. Really appreciate everybody hanging out with us as much as you do. Really appreciate all the support that we get in the chat and on social media, everything like that. Hope everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the holiday with their families. Have a safe week. Have a fun week. Enjoy it, and we'll get back to talking some Syracuse basketball and ring in the new year. For Paul McCoy producing the show behind the scenes, I'm Giovanni Heater saying so long and good night. We'll talk to you when ACC play rolls on in just over a week. Thanks so much for hanging out right here. Syracuse wins it over Stonehill 77-48 to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule. This is Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you